like,
you don't have the script.
hey,
so.
nothing is predictable. That's what I.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Student Worldwide. Thanks so much for joining us. I got my guest here, Lesego,
Yeah.
Managing Director of Leaking Tomorrow. She's out of the book. To One Is Not Enough. Powerful stuff. You guys gotta get a copy. Just zoom in a bit. At the end of this video, at the end of this interview, we're gonna put a link in the description, and you can click. It's on Amazon, and I think it's $100.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and always be an investor, okay? Always be don't think about spending money as losing money. Whenever people tell you the value, it's all about 10x, okay? Think of yourself as the best investment you can make, the vessel. So always just keep putting the money into yourself as much as you can, okay? But thank you for joining us, Lesego. Yeah, really appreciate it. And yeah, and just tell us a little bit about what is Leaking Tomorrow as a company. What do you guys do? Why the book? Why now? And maybe you can just shed a little light on some of the challenges you faced, you know, as a young person writing a book, you know, in South Africa, you know what I mean, and female, and yeah, hopefully your story can inspire a few people out there.
That's a real fool.
Yeah.
Start from the basics.
Yeah.
Starting from the beginning. Leaking Tomorrow itself. I should actually start by explaining the name Leaking Tomorrow and how it came about.
Right.
Leaking Tomorrow is a musical metaphor. And the musical metaphor is derived from leaking, being taking out before time, what we do to our artists these days, and tomorrow being the direct future, exactly that. So when you're leaking tomorrow, you're taking out the future before it comes, bringing it here before it comes. Therefore whatever comes tomorrow, you're already prepared for. Whatever future is yet to come, even if it were to come today, whatever opportunity presents itself today, you're ready. So Leaking Tomorrow is about creating a definite better tomorrow. And therefore we're not waiting, you know, we're leaking it tomorrow. We're leaking, yes. We're all about the good news. Unfortunately, we live in a world where every single day something bad makes headlines better than something good. Everything that's going around has this intense, depressing feel that it brings it. The bad news, you know, is more intense than the good news that we have. Everybody's glass is almost half empty. You know, there's a constant setting of depression that is not even in a charity form. It's in a personal form. And we shy away so hard in today's day and age, which is, I think, one of the perks that I have. I'm such a traditional person. Wish I was born back in the days we didn't have technology, as a matter of fact. Except for the fact that these are the perks. But
sure.
We've lost
massive
touch.
Distribution.
We've lost touch with ourselves.
Yeah.
And being unable to implement ourselves has led to half of the trouble that we see today. So Leaking Tomorrow came as a means of the everyday person that I see, the ground-to-ground people that I bump to, the interactions that I have. As much as they are different, there's a diverse need of problems. But the root all comes from the fact that Batu Habasha.
Not knowing ourselves as a result. Like, we don't know, we're not true to ourselves.
Therefore, I had to delve into responsibility. Which is the main problem that I saw more than anything else. And which led to saying to want is not enough. As a matter of fact, you and I had a conversation last week where you said to me, we forget to deserve what we want.
For sure,
And I was like, that's a direct conjunction to the next sentence of to want is not enough.
For sure. And like Charlie Munger says, you know, the world is not yet a crazy enough place to reward a bunch of undeserving people.
So, self-awareness, self-skinning, self-introspection, responsibility. Those are the few things that in the century that we live in now, in the world that we live in now, our generation specifically shies away from that. Our first opening sentences in the book says that we live in a world where we're entitled, and entitlement is sin, because people ask, how do I get there? How do I do this? Or either teach me how to do it. And the main problem and prerogative of that all is that how do you have somebody else assist you in a world that is yours? How do you help someone walk a route that is theirs? How do you help someone attain a dream that is designed for them? That person themselves needs to be fully a part of that for it to work. So laying back and asking for lending help all the time is something that we need to take away. And more than anything else, I had to take responsibility. And for me, having to learn how to take responsibility as a millennial.
So in a way, this is by a millennial for millennials.
Taking responsibility, having account of taking responsibility for myself, therefore they're moving it and echoing it to everybody else.
Now that's true, and I think one of the reasons why, you know, we have this, if if I can call it, persona fatigue, meaning that the true self is always fatigued, is not existent in almost a lot of people. Not, I mean, it's all relative, not everyone. And I mean, it's something that I battle with every single day, is to be true to my vision and to hold myself accountable to the vision that I have. So I think one of the reasons why we have this fatigue of self is because we try and imitate all these big personalities that we look up to.
See, there's nothing wrong with doing something that is common, but if you know how it serves you.
Yeah.
Everything in life that you interact with or approach or have any contact with has two sides to it. There's a good side, there's a bad side. You know which side you get if you know yourself and what would serve you. And that's the entire purpose of everything. We've shied away so much from knowing what serves us right. Because we don't know what serves us.
Or maybe we know, but like Warren Buffett says, the chains of habit are too weak to be felt, and too strong to be broken. So we know what we gotta do, but the habits and the neural pathways are so strong that it even overrides common sense.
And I think that's the most evil part.
Yeah.
when you do know what's wrong and then you sit on it.
It's the most sinister, right? It's the most sinister of all things. I mean, Friedrich Nietzsche says that the mind is an impregnable fortress. You can only learn about it through friends and enemies. So most of us think our enemies are on the outside, that we gotta conquer the world, we gotta fight inertia.
The first one.
You know, but we forget that inside, you know, Sun Tzu tells a parable of this monkey king who ruled over thousands and, you know, like a huge nation, and he had this army, and although this monkey ruler was a king of many, he was, or a ruler of many, he was not ruler of the most important person of all, himself. You know, and I think it's all about this inward outward living thing. Yaguti, you know what? Okay, be the change you want to see in the world, but more important than that, you know, try to change yourself, because I cannot control what the next person does.
But you can control how you react.
You know what I mean? I can control whether I go home now and I either jog or sit on the couch and eat potato chips. I can control that. I can control the money that I have, how I steward it, and what I do with it. Because where your money is, there where your heart be too.
So how do you channel people from getting away from the deadlock mind of, I can do this, but I'm not doing that?
Yeah.
And that's exactly where we come in, because in the world that we live in today, progression is suppressed so hard by the lack of help, or the lack of people seeing that they need help, because help is put in a certain box, put in a certain lifestyle, put in a certain suit. I said to a friend of mine the other day, it's like going to a hospital and having a broken arm and getting to the doctor and saying to the doctor, I have a broken arm, and the doctor says, how did you get there? Help. So everywhere where we can get refueled, recharged, everywhere where we can get that bump up to get back at it, what happens? We get turned down. So it's nice to have a place where rejuvenation is so cool. We're wearing sneakers and hoodies, and we're able to tell people that, hey, yo, take responsibility and it's gonna work. You know, people make success feel so far-fetched. I always say
take ownership. You know,
exactly.
Clean is clean. Tim Grover wrote a book called Relentless, and in his book he speaks about you're either a cooler, a closer, or a cleaner. And Tim Grover was the guy who coached or trained Michael Jordan. And if you know anything about Michael Jordan, I mean, he's considered iconic in the basketball game.
But what about the guy who made him?
The best athlete of all time, you know. And Tim Grover speaks about cleaners. He says that a cleaner is someone who harnesses everything, the dark side of the personality that most of us are shy away from, and most of us are really just ashamed of. But he says that the dark side is something that, I mean, we've all failed at things. You know, I failed at. I'm gonna continue to fail at things. We're all gonna continue to fail at things. That is the most powerful tool we could use.
Quote for you regarding fail. Now that we're speaking of it, it says, the best problem solvers are determined by the speed they turn to their solution.
Right.
So that goes to say that
the speed, you know,
that goes to say that you are bound to fail.
Right.
But should you sit there in your mess and say that I failed, you're going to stay there. Therefore, they're the best people to get to where they need to get, as the people that get up as quick as dusting themselves.
Yeah. The cleaner's clean. Right. Yeah. And I'd like to be a cleaner, hold myself up to them. I guess it's also being responsible and having a clear vision. One of the videos we shot like a few weeks ago is that have a vision. And what a powerful vision helps you to do is it keeps you accountable. If you know that this is the person, you eat clean, you know, you talk clean, you save your money, you invest your money. So that's maybe like my vision for myself, basically. I am responsible every day to keep myself at that. And when I'm not doing that, I have to be real enough and say, but hey, now you're not following through to who you really are. And I think that's how you actually make progression, by actually
Committing
you know,
yourself.
to the little stuff. You know, waking up at the right time, doing the right things at the right moment. So I think, like you said,
That's a conversation we had yesterday. That
sure.
Dreams seem so far-fetched.
Yeah.
They seem almost like you're sitting in front of a TV watching
Yeah.
it and saying, there it is,
You're-
here I
so
am,
you
I
gotta
can't get
break
it.
it down.
So you need to break it down,
Right,
break
yeah,
it down.
yeah.
First build the first step
Yeah.
before you're thinking of making it to the
Yeah,
roof.
yeah.
So people want to keep jumping, and what happens
Yeah.
when you jump? You come down. There is no
Right.
holding support.
Step
You
by
haven't
step you
built
get
the
ahead.
structure.
Right.
You haven't actually planned out what you want to do to
Yeah.
the point where you planned out how to get to where you're going.
Yeah. It's a crazy philosophy, man. Yeah. It's a step by step approach.
It's a step-by-step approach,
Right.
and in the stepping, I said don't forget to get off the step to
Yeah.
go fetch other building material, to come
Right.
back, to step on the first step,
Right.
to build for the next step.
To build for the
Therefore,
next
there you
step.
also elevate yourself. You can
Right.
see further. You can see more material.
Right.
You can even see how far I am. You can
Right.
even see, am I even going to the right place?
Right. Feedback analysis, right? Doing something and submitting to other smarter people.
Most definitely.
Right.
So we have like a compact. I wouldn't like to call it a self-help book.
Yeah.
I like to call it a self-sustaining book.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's pocket size for a reason.
Yeah,
As you
yeah,
go,
yeah, as you go.
remind
Yeah,
yourself
yeah,
that
yeah.
this is what's going on.
For sure. And I like the way it's written though. It doesn't have a lot of it's a lot of quotes. It's kind of like an essay in the beginning, and then the rest is
We had
just
to feed everybody,
and
make
then-
everybody
and
happy.
then the rest is just quote, which is the way like people like.
I don't want people to read the book and put it down.
Right.
And what happens when you've written
Yeah.
a body of
Yeah.
work like
yeah.
that is, they'll
Yeah.
put it down,
You tend to put it
and they'll
down,
never get
alright,
back
yeah,
to it,
yeah,
or they'll
yeah.
pass it on to somebody else.
Yeah,
However,
yeah.
if you have quotes like that,
Right.
hopefully somebody in this world
I actually
learns
read an
all those
interesting thing
quotes.
about quote. It's in the Jewish Talmud.
Mm.
It says that a quotation to someone is like bread to the famished.
Oof.
Like think about how me
You're
and
hitting a spot.
I'm-
I'm an Elizabethan
right.
Victorian
Check it
lover,
out.
so
It's
you're hitting the
crazy.
spot.
How many times you and I or anybody watching this read a quote and it changed the whole day, right? And this is thousands of years of wisdom.
And we're in a
Right.
lazy generation. You
Right.
need to know how to make sure people get enough without giving them more than they'll want to have.
Yeah.
Too much is too much for people these days, literally.
Yeah.
People are going through so much, but they still want a quick fix. So
Yeah.
let's make the quick fix,
Yeah.
you know,
And
sustainable.
and there is no quick fixes. You know, it's like having cancer. You know, there's no quick fixes to something like that. And we wouldn't want a quick fix.
The little bit of treatment needs to do
Yeah.
as much work as it would have needed to be
Yeah.
done if we're going to cure the person.
Right.
So I said, if I'm going to have a few words to say, let it be words that are actually valuable, that are
Right.
worth saying.
Yeah.
Like, what are you, in a generation where we have 140 characters that can do so much,
Right.
how much has 140 characters done?
Right.
You know, you don't want to overfeed people, especially if it's people that you really want to listen.
Yeah. That's powerful, man. And just quickly before we wrap up now, tell us about the team and the importance of having a solid team around whatever it is you're doing, whether it is a business, a blog, whether it's people you associate yourself with. Just
The best analogy that I've
Yeah.
ever had in my life for a team was back in primary school,
Right.
in a hockey team. And my coach,
Yeah.
Mr. Fairweather, said to me, a team is like a car.
yeah.
The engine has to work with the brakes, has to work with the lights, has to work, everything has to come together.
Complementary.
In
Right.
order for it to move as
Right.
a unit,
Solid, yeah.
move efficiently,
Yeah.
and move at all.
Yeah.
And if you have, people like having a complete structure from someone to build a unit.
Yeah.
And you need broken pieces to put
make-
together
to
a
make-
vase.
right, right.
You can't have the entire vase as one complete
Right,
piece.
yeah.
Somebody has to have something that you don't have.
Right.
And then there needs to be acceptance from you
Yeah.
that I don't have this, but
Number
he
one,
does.
self-awareness.
Yes.
Knowing that I'm the brake.
Back to
He-
where
he's-
everything,
he's the
back to where
accelerator.
everything works.
Right. I think all of this is just a piecing of it. That's knowledge. Wisdom is getting together, and the wisdom, knowledge is, or should I say, knowledge is getting or acquiring.
Yeah.
All the
To get the bigger picture, the
Exactly.
puzzle's missing
and
some
then
other
wisdom
puzzle.
is putting it into fruition and actually living and making instinctual change and changing your habits and the way you actually operate.
So acknowledging at first that this is what I need and this is what you have.
Right.
And then having an open relationship
and being
to
real
say,
enough to say,
yes,
hey, I'm not the
I don't
all-star.
have this.
I'm actually the defense player, and that's okay.
and my team needs to win. So I need you and my
so
team
if
to
you
make
win,
sure that
I
our
win,
team
right,
wins.
right. So you all can't be Michael Jordan.
And then understanding most of all
Right.
that If
Right.
you score the goal
Right.
and I defend,
Right.
it's okay for you to shine and scream when you
Yeah.
scored the goal because
Yeah.
that's your part.
'Cause, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
the defender.
Yeah.
My part is gonna come.
You're a cleaner, and
So
cleaner is clean.
it has to come
Right.
together. It has to come together.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
chemistry that
It has to coalesce.
it's a chemistry that is
Yeah.
beyond understanding.
Yeah.
And also more than anything else, if I can give the best tip of all, is consideration.
Yeah, consideration.
Consideration.
Right, this is the nugget. So if you got anything from this video, it's basically self-awareness, consideration. We're gonna put a link for this on the video bio, and yeah. And I just want to say thank you, managing
glad
director
so.
of Leaking Tomorrow.
I'm glad so.
Check her out. Yeah, she's on fire. She's on social. We're gonna put all the links on the
We're coming everywhere.
for sure. Yeah. So I'd just like to say thank you for watching, and once again, thank you for coming, man. This has been a long time coming.
We're gonna
Yeah.
share everything with you guys.
For sure.
Find us Leaking Tomorrow everywhere, all social media platforms. If you want to
And
book,
let's leak
email
tomorrow.
Leaking.
Okay, so we're gonna put an
We're-
email as well.
it's an active word for a reason. We're not
we're gonna
just
put
we're
some
doing
stuff.
something. Leaking, active.
Awesome.